Good morning, children. Lesson number 10, Weather and Climate. Okay, children. In previous class, we studied about the climate or heat zones of the world. So there were three parts divided into three parts of the world. The first one, the torrid zone. Second one is the temperate zone. Third one is the frigid zone. So we studied the first one and second one. So now we'll study the third one, the frigid zone. So children, you can see in the picture here the frigid zone, so called polar. So this is the, once again it is a globe. You can see the globe, the north pole and the south pole, and the frigid zone of the north and the frigid zone of south. So this is the equator, the torrid zone is here. So Arctic circle of the north temperate zone and the Tropic of Cancer. So when it comes towards the southern hemisphere, we have Tropic of Capricorn, south temperate zone and Antarctic circle. So this is the frigid zone. So this zone lies between the Arctic circle and the North Pole in the northern hemisphere, and the Antarctic circle and the South Pole in the southern hemisphere. See children, you can see here. So this zone lies between the Arctic circle and the North Pole in the northern hemisphere, and the Antarctic circle and the South Pole in the southern hemisphere. So this pole is also called polar zone. This pole also called as polar zone. So it receives very less heat, and so it is covered with the sheets of snow and cold throughout the year. The frigid or polar zone receives very less heat, and so it covered with the sheets of snow and cold throughout the year. So therefore the frigid zone or the so-called polar zone receive less heat and always covered with the sheet of snow and cold. So therefore therefore it is called as a frigid zone or the polar zone. So it receives very little heat from the sun. Most of the months they do not receive the sun rays. Most of the month they do not receive the sun rays at all. So it is covered with the thick sheets of snow. Because of the thick sheets of snow, even though the sun rays fall on it, but it does not receive it much because of the snow. This area is very cold throughout this year. So what happens? Because the areas are almost covered with the snow, so therefore this frigid area called polar zone receives very less heat and always remains very cold. So thus conclusion, thus we see that the climate is not the same in all parts of the world. Thus, we see that the climate is not the same in all parts of the world. It differs from place to place. So as I explained in beginning of the class, climate or the weather does not affect all the places at a time, because climate is differing from weather, even weather is differing from climate. Even climate also will change after a long time, but weather will keep on changing. So it differs from place to place, so it may not be same in every places. So now, so far whatever you have studied, the weather, the climate, and the factors, distance from the equator and the height above the sea level, distance from the sea, and the humidity. When we come the second part of the weather and the climate, the heat zones of the world, the torrid zone, the temperature zone, the frigid zone. So whatever we studied so far, this all, after all this, we can say the climate is not the same in all parts of the world because of certain changes of the atmosphere, so because of the wind, because of the sea, because of the equator, because of the distance from the sea, and the torrid zone, temperature zone. This all affect the weather and the climate. So therefore what happens, the climate changes in each place according to the effect of the atmospheric basis. So on the basis of the different climatic conditions, the world has been divided into the climatic regions. The world has been divided into the climatic regions. Because of the different climatic conditions, the world has been divided into the climatic regions. So next lesson also we have this one, the country, our country in India. Even there also, I think we are going to study about the physical divisions and the states and other things and all. So here we can see the some other way of what you call the weather and the climate. So in India, if now we have studied about the world, we studied about the climate and weather of the world it is, but we'll study even the weather and climate of India also, only in India how it operates. So dear children, I hope you understood the entire lesson. So now it is your work and your duty to go through the lesson and read it again and again, so better you understand. So when you read, I hope you understand better. So therefore children, it is, of course, some of the lessons are a bit difficult to understand. So but when you are in it, when you read lesson again and again, so it is easy for us to understand. So dear children, so this is all about the weather and climate. So hope you understood. Weather, what we see outside, and we defined as the condition of atmosphere at particular places and the time. Then we studied all types of weathers, that is sunshine, rain, snow, fog. So these are also made up of 3 ingredients, whereas water, wind and heat from the sun. So this all together create the Earth's changing weather. So then we study even the changes in the weather causes the seasons. Changes in the weather causes the seasons. There are 5 main seasons. Those are winter, spring, summer, monsoon and autumn. So changes in the weather also causes a season. There are 5 main seasons: winter, spring, summer, monsoon and autumn. So after that we studied about the climate. So climate also is a condition, place persists over a long period of time. So it is called climate. Climate is remains for the longer period of time. So therefore it is called climate. Of course, weather keeps on changing day by day. It is not the steady. It is not the same. So for example, you studied about the mountain ranges in climate, and the Himalayas we studied, and we studied about the desert of Rajasthan. Then also we studied how difficult it is, how the climate will affect the certain places, and how the habit of people over those places, the clothing will change, the food habit will change, even the transportation will have the difficulties. So after that we studied the factors influencing the climate, how the factors will affect the places. The first one we studied the distance from the equator, how it affects. The second one, height above the sea level, that is altitude. Then third one we studied distance from the sea, and the fourth one is wind, that is a moving air is called wind. So even the sea breeze and the land breeze we studied. So today we studied all about the humidity, the climate or the heat zones of the world. So the zones were divided into 3 zones of the world. The first one is the torrid zone, the temperate zone, the frigid zone. So in that we studied torrid, temperate zone, frigid, and finally, so the conclusion of the lesson, thus we see that the climate is not the same in all parts of the world. It differs from place to place on the basis of different climatic conditions. The world has been divided into the climatic regions. Okay children, so this is all about the lesson number 10, weather and the climate. So finally, the condition of the atmosphere at a given time and place is called the weather. It changes every day. Climate is the average weather condition that persists over a long time. Some of the factors that affect the climate are distance from the equator, height above sea level, distance from the sea, wind and the humidity. The earth is divided into 3 climate zones: torrid, temperate and the frigid zones. So this is all about the lesson children. Hope you understood. So please, if you are seeing the videos, please everyone go through the videos, and even find out the answers from your textbook, the exercise page number 68 and the 69. Okay, so here we end the lesson number 10. Okay, thank you children.